What's up, CineNerds?
Is
I'm
that it?
JP.
We're live.
We're live.
We're
I'm
fucking
JP.
live. We were getting
Who
there,
are
but I was
you?
still shocked we were live. I'm just happy we are live. Uh, sorry, JP, we know who you are. I'm Ryan.
Are you Ryan?
Hmm. Yes, I'm much more stable than my wife's 80 personalities. She's listening in the other room, so I got to be careful.
So our audio is working. Can you hear it in the other room?
I don't know.
Well, I wanted to make
She's in
sure.
the other room. She's listening to me. I meant she's not listening to
Oh,
the podcast. So, but she should be listening to the podcast in the other room.
Megan's in the chat. She can tell us if she can hear our audio. I'm sure they'll let us know. What's up,
Oh yeah,
Megan?
I got to go into the chat on the phone because this is a new concept. We haven't done this. We've only done this a handful of times.
Yeah, we're not used to doing too many lives, and so I'm a little rusty at it. And you never can tell technical issues, don't know what it looks like, don't know what it sounds like, and I'm used to filming this stuff and then editing and making it look nice and sound pretty good. And Megan says she can hear us.
Outstanding. And I see the pod, or I see the chat going there too. Hi Megan. Hi Becky.
Becky, Russell's on here. I hope Steven's doing well. So, uh, before we get into the movie today, and I want to check something real quick. I'm sorry, this is live, and I wanted to actually check the video, see what we look like on the actual YouTube channel, because I'm not seeing that. Because like I said, we never do live, so I'm trying to make sure. So before we get into the tonight's episode, as you see, we're doing this live because of all of my what I came home from tour of I can't even talk. When I came home from tour, all my stuff was gone. Like all my studio equipment, my video game systems, video games, power tools, multiple firearms were stolen out of my house. Uh, so I've recently moved very quickly um, into a new little place for right now, and so we literally these. And when I say everything, like all my external hard drives were gone. So like all the backup files for our intros and things like that. All of our backup all of our backups for all of our episodes I had on external hard drives. Some of the stuff I do have on my Google Drive as well backed up, but unfortunately, like the new intro and stuff like that, I've got to rebuild all this stuff. Um, Laptop gone, mic's gone, interface gone, so on. Uh, Bad situation, but I wanted to thank everyone who has donated because right now, and I'm gonna tell you guys something that I've not even told Ryan, and I'm gonna get to it, which is going to surprise him, and he's gonna be really happy. So that being said, everybody that has donated, I will tell you the dollar amount. About roughly, I don't actually have the exact dollar amount, but roughly, there's been about $3,000 donated to me to get the studio back up and running. And that being said, it lifted my spirits so much with everybody helping out, and in a very bad dark time. Like if you guys knew when I walked in my studio and saw what it looked like, my heart went to my stomach. Like I was devastated. So there's about $3,000, maybe a little bit more, but it's about $3,000 that has been donated to uh, my studio and the CineNerds studio. Um, with this, and I've told everybody I want to be transparent and post stuff as I've been getting, and I've been trying to, but I have been so busy that I have not been posting. I haven't posted anything the past couple of days. But if you've been following my Facebook, you've seen with that money I've gotten a new laptop, which is what I'm using tonight. Um, I got a new interface, which I'm using tonight, and and Ryan and I will get back to using it together when we get back to in studio and not doing lives. Also had a good friend actually ordered two new microphones for Ryan and myself. 2 new Sures, like my old one. Um, so this is where we're at now. About where I was with the laptop and the interface was about $2,000. I told you guys you guys have raised about a little over $3,000 for me, for us and me. Um, Up until today, and this is what Ryan does not know, um, I had to go a little bit out of pocket, not much, because you guys helped out so much. I ordered new Halo lights um, because one of our Halo lights were stolen too. I do have one, which actually is how you're seeing me now. Um, Also, one of our mic stands was gone. Why one and not all three? I don't. I have no idea. So I ordered a new mic stand, but two, I did order 2 new Sony camcorders for the podcast. And if you remember, right before I left for the Static X tour, I had just bought 2 new cameras to do a multi-angle format. So we are we are pretty much there with everything, and so I cannot thank you enough for supporting me. For what this is the stuff I use for whenever I am working in the studio with working on songs and this and that for AKC or anything else. So this is not just for the podcast. This is stuff for my personal, for my other for music, but also for Ryan and I to keep doing this. And you guys, I cannot thank you enough. Um, and to add to this too, I do have an insurance claim in. It does not look like I'm going to get anything from this. I have a meeting with them next Friday, but it's not looking like I'm going to get any kickback out of the insurance claim because there was no forced entry and the person in the house let these people in, so they are not wanting to pay. So I'm still going to fight them. We'll find out. We'll see. However, that's not what's important. What's important is get the studio up and running. I'm not worried about the power tools. I'm not worried about the video game systems. I'm not worried about, well, I'm worried about the guns, but those have been reported to the police. But I'm not worried about replacing the other stuff. I want the studio up and running and doing what Ryan and I love to do and talk about movies. So I I'm not asking really for too much more donations. If you guys have any to donate a little bit more, here and there, then like I said, I will be transparent on what I am spending this money on. And as soon as the stuff that I ordered comes in, the cameras and everything, I will take pictures, show you that hey, this is what it's got. This is what you guys did for us. So, but we still got like one more camera I would like to get, but it's not important, and I'm not going to use anything to replace anything else. I did add, a Amazon link, and I did put a new PS5 and PS2 back in that link of stolen items, but that's only there. Somebody's like, "Hey, we're going to get this guy a video game system," but that's not important to me. What's important to me is the studio, and you guys have pretty much got us there, and I cannot thank you enough.
So, from my side of this, just seeing JP go through all this and seeing the way that this has dragged him through the mud, I just want to say, and I've told you in person, JP, but I want to tell our people too, you're one of the most stand-up dudes I've had the privilege to get to know in the last couple of years. Been happy to do this podcast with you. Sad to see you go through all this. Sad to see this kind of an outcome for such a good person. JP, if you guys don't know him on a deep personal level, he's the type of person who literally would give the shirt off his back if it meant helping a friend. He is just somebody who is as real as it gets, as honest as it gets, and he's got a heart of gold. So like when bad shit happens to good people, I take it very personal and I get very real fast. So the fact that so many people came to rose the challenge here to help JP, and in turn myself with the podcast, I'm also equally grateful that he's got such a great community of people supporting him. So cheers to you guys.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough. So that's and I'd hope to actually get this on a Facebook Live. So, because I know a lot of times we will reach more people whenever we do a Facebook Live, but technical issues prevented us from doing the Facebook Live with this. So, I may do another separate video, kind of talking about some of the same stuff, and I'll get it posted. But I wanted to throw that out there. I want to be as transparent. I don't want to be that guy that says, "Hell, hey, we gave him all this money and he just did." No, this is what I'm doing with it, and this is what exactly what it is, and I just want to be as transparent.
I think they appreciate that. And hey, Jeremy, I'm seeing you in the chat now. Well,
All right, so
let's
we're
get into some zombies.
let's get into some movie here. So we both went and watched. And I watched this when the opening weekend. Me and Stitch went and watched this in the theater. 28 years later.
I went opening night on the Thursday it came out, and man, all right. So before we go any further, because we are going to get into this, I just want to express to everyone, if you have not seen 28 Years Later, we're going to have spoilers here. So pause this and come back at a later time. Even though I want everyone here, I don't want to ruin a movie for someone because it is new. So just keep that in mind as we begin to discuss this.
Hey, Brandy, I see. Brandy's finally arrived. She missed my
Brand,
big rant. She missed my big rant.
Brandy, and then Bean Jean's place. I don't know who Bean Jean is, but hi.
Hey there. All right, so 28 years later. So if you watched our most anticipated films of 2025, this one was at the very top of my list. Outside, I think it was only second to Superman, maybe for me. You
Sorry,
still
I'm
there,
reading
Brian?
the comments. Yeah, I'm reading the comments as they're coming in, trying to keep up with people since we're doing this live. So it's a whole different spin when we do it like this. Um, yeah, no, I had it in my list too. I don't know where it fell, but definitely was in there. The first 28 days later, to me, was a quintessential film in zombie filmmaking. It changed the dynamic of a zombie. It gave us the rage, if you will. It showed how a city, a country, how everything can fold in, and it brought this realness to it. There's so much emotion. Cillian Murphy did an amazing job. There's so many great actors in 28 Days Later. But I remember walking out of that theater, that movie, and somebody who was not thrilled with the movie like I was said, "God, it feels like it's 28 years later." And that was after the first film, and now here we are watching 28 years later. So, initial impressions, JP.
So my initial impressions are because 28 Days Later was such a big movie for me, and it's not only one of my favorite zombie films, it's one of my all-time favorite films. So I was super excited for 28 Years Later, and I had it really hyped up in my head. So my initial reactions is unsure. That's where I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, that's a fair. So here, I'm gonna say something. We're not too far off here. We're in the same vein here. So for me, um, for those of you who know Danny Boyle's style and the 28 days and 28 weeks movies, this movie traditionally the first like 3/4 of this movie are a Danny Boyle film, but the last quarter, maybe last fifth of the movie, it gets Guy Ritchie real fast, and I'm not opposed to it. I'm not put off by it, but I definitely need to see where this other film, because they filmed these two movies consecutively. The Bone Temple will come out in January, from my understanding, and that'll give us the rest of what we're missing. That will make us maybe hopefully more sure, because I am also unsure, JP, that when the yellow mullet gang came out at the end with Jimmy, I was just like, what?
I'm doing your thing now. I'm responding to people.
Oh, all right. Well, let's take a second here. Uh, JP knows B and Jean. That's Haley, and Frank's on there, and we got Linda in there. Frank and Linda both are. That's a couple. Hi, Frank and Linda.
Okay. Um, Yeah, I just typed in to let them know that if they check out the opening of this once we're done, to what we had talked about. Um, the thing is, I love Danny Boyle, and Danny Boyle. Even on our directors episode, like Danny Boyle is one of my all-time favorite directors, and um, this for me, and I really hate to say it, but this is one of his weaker films.
It's weak, but it's not horrible.
It's no, it's not bad. Um, you know, it's not a bad movie. It's actually a good movie. It's a really good movie, but um for it being a Danny Boyle film, it's his worst. You know, I mean, when you look at Danny Boyle's catalog. I mean, you've got Train Spotting, you've got 28 Days Later, you've got Yesterday, you've got Sunshine, you've got Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. You know, he's got a ton of just fantastic films, and to say that this is probably his weakest or one of his weakest is not saying it's bad because he has so many great films.
I the only reason I'm gonna lock in and say that I agree with you for the weakest of his films, was still good, is just because I feel like I really feel, or at least I hope, that when we get the Bone Temple, that we see the reasoning behind this and why it's so crazy weird. The shift that happens in this movie is pretty surreal. So I'm gonna start digging into this movie a little bit here. Are we ready for that?
Go for it. Go for it.
All right. So opening sequence. Opening sequence. You see a pretty brutal, good opening sequence. I think it's probably, I would say it's definitely on par with the other two movies for opening sequences. You've got a group of kids in a room who are hearing screaming outside of the room. The door's got a significant lock on it. The mom is popping in, or at least a mom figure is popping in to say, "Stay here, no matter what you hear. Stay here." And so you see these kids just all kind of panicking and crying, and then you hear the infection start happening outside the door, and the kids understand it too, and the look of horror on their face, it goes 0 to 60 real fast. One of these, like, I think, I don't know how many kids, there's a shit ton of kids in there. There's like 10 or 12 kids in this room.
Yeah, there's a bunch. They're just piled in there.
And JP and I are both not fans of violence with kids in movies. We've talked about that before, but this one got real dark real fast, to the point where only one of those kids made it out of that room. And that kid starts running, and he runs to a church, and in the church there's a praying priest, and the priest has lost his mind. He's like end of days, thinking about God. I don't remember exact words that he was saying, but he had lost his mind. um, and he was ready for the rage to consume him as well, because he thought it was something involving God. Um, he puts a cross in this young boy's hand, and tells him, God, something like, "God will always be with you," or something to that effect.
Hmm.
And the boy takes the cross and sees the rage infected coming in, and he runs. The kid runs, and the priest is consumed. Now, the reason I bring up this sequence and talk about it in detail is because it's a tie-in to the original 28 Days Later. This church and the priest are the first church in area of rage infected people that Cillian's character finds in 28 Days Later. So I found that really, really cool. I liked how they did the little tie-in, and brought it back a little bit. And then nothing with this kid. Nothing. Just gone.
The rest, yeah, gone, gone.
So I was like, okay, what happened with him? And I'm thinking that the whole movie. But I'll let you dig in on that piece and talk a little before I go further.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole opening scene is just. I actually really, really, really dug the opening scene. You know, the chase scene. It was intense. It felt very, like you said, Danny Boyle, like 28 Days Later. And you know, the boy to see his father get eaten, you know, under the floorboard as he's hiding under the floorboard. It's a great scene. You know,
I forgot
um,
about that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
honestly, I forgot about that. I thought he just ran, but that's right.
yeah. No, he hides under the floorboards and he kind of sees everything happen and unfolds. And he has his father's cross necklace, his whatever he's holding. But and then he does once they leave, he runs, he gets out of there and leaves the church. But and from there there's a time jump. That's it jumps to uh,
28
present
years
day,
later.
28 years later, and then that's where you see you meet the character. I can't remember his name, but guy that played Quicksilver and Kick Ass.
Taylor, something Taylor.
Yeah. It's like Aaron something Taylor or something.
Yeah,
I
you got
probably
it.
should have
He's
had.
new.
I should have been more prepared for this
He
episode. Like I've been so busy that I I don't take it. I don't have any notes or anything open.
he was, and keep in mind too, JP and I both have seen this movie, and we wanted to talk about this movie while it was relevant, because it is still doing some pretty crazy things. And we decided this last minute spontaneously. We didn't even know if we were gonna get an episode up this week because of
Yeah, we
everything
talked
that we've
about
had.
taking a week off with everything because we don't have the studio up and running. Essentially. So we talked about taking this off, and then I kind of said, "Hey, do you have a day off Thursday?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it live." I said, "We both watched 28 Years Later. It's relevant right now. People are watching. Let's do it."
And honestly, like if you guys see reruns in the next couple of weeks, in any way, it's just because we're still sorting through all this. So just we're trying not to do that because we haven't done that yet. So just so you guys know, if it does happen, it's only because we're trying to sort through stuff.
Yeah, but like I said at the beginning of the episode, I thanked everybody. We have some more equipment coming. I'm going to start getting the studio set up, and we're going to make it. We're going to make shit happen.
Jessica Church, hello, and Talking Tapes, what's up?
Talking tapes, what's up? Jessica, I love you too, Jessica. I hadn't seen you in forever. Hope you're doing well. Um, what
This
else?
guy, are you sure? This guy?
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson, uh, Quicksilver. You still with me,
And
Ryan?
and Craven. Yeah, I'm just reading.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
reading comments and I'm trying to find. There's a, I believe, and I thought I shared it on the CineNerds, but it looks like I didn't. I believe there was a box office number that already came in for a mark that they had crossed with 28 years later, and it's doing very well. That's all. People are responding well to it.
Speaking of Craven, have you watched that yet?
I haven't. If I do watch it, I'm going to go in with very low expectations.
I went in. I watched it on tour. It was one of the few one days I had off, and we were sitting at the Perry's Mask Museum for a day off, and me and Rick are sitting there, and we put it on. Had really no desire to watch Craven. Pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fucking good. It's better than a lot of shit Marvel's put out in a while, and it was put out by Sony.
Yeah, so I heard some people say some things along those lines. That's why, like you said, you went into 28 years later really hyped up and had high expectations. I feel like when we go into a movie, and Craven's a good example of that, we go in with these expectations or hype or in any way, it can really sway the way we look at a movie. So like I've gone to movies with really high expectations and I was just pissed off and they didn't deliver. And then I've gone to movies really low expectations that friends hated, but I loved. So you never know. So hopefully, I'm going to go into Craven with a low expectation and see a good film.
Frank told me to turn my mic up. Let me see. Can is
You,
this
you, you know what, JP?
is
I
this a little
noticed that
better?
it's just when you're direct and when you're not. If you pull away at
Oh,
all,
okay.
it yeah.
Well, I've turned it up a little bit. I think I was down a little bit, so I should be a little higher now. I can give a little more, but
And
hello.
and and while we're talking about you being high, we can talk about the natural high you're feeling with all these rad people in the chat.
I know
All right,
this
I'm
is
being
odd. I
cheesy.
mean, to actually be here and trying to talk to look at over here at the comments and then trying to talk about the movie is
Yeah,
I don't know how Rick and these guys actually do this every week and to keep it together. This is
Rick,
tough.
Rick and I talked about it actually. He said it's the way his interface sets up with whatever he's using. It allows him to pull
Oh
the
yeah,
chat in.
I've got it right here. Right in front of me on with
Oh,
this like just very similar to his and it's just like it's a lot for me to focus on and keep my mind straight.
some crazy lady jumped in and said hi guys, and then that's the missus, and then we got Frank said that's better, your mic sounds better, so cool. Megan said it sounds good. CM Tello jumping in. Thanks, Jeremy goes, there's no escaping Ryan's dad jokes.
So this movie they Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, he takes his kid out on a scavenging hunting trip out into the world, and everything is the whole island is quarantined, so nobody goes off the island or on the island. So they that's kind of where the movie starts, and you they run into zombies, and you see smoke. Um, God, I can't even think. But
Well, hold on,
the
hold
kid,
on. I was going to say before we get into that window because it gets really deep with that whole smoke and the fire. Uh, for me, this was interesting because this was a big kind of battle with Taylor's character and his son because his son was only 12, and everyone on the island was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure he's ready? Are you sure?" Because he's not. Wait till he's 15. Wait till he's 15. They tried talking him out of this because of the things that he would see. Because essentially, what they do is it's like a rite of passage, a coming of manhood, if you will. And he father takes son out. He gets his first kill on a rage infected person, essentially, and that's kind of where some of the troubles lead into. But JP, you want to talk about where mom is?
the mom is sick. She is in bed sick, and you don't know what's wrong with her, but you know she's kind of out of her mind, and they're basically taking care of. I mean, they're taking care of her, and she doesn't want her kid to go out, but she also you know there's something wrong with her mind. She's going crazy, and she says one minute, you can't take him out there, and then the next minute she goes, "Oh, where are you going?" And the kid tells her, "I'm going to school," to not make her worry again and freak out again.
So yeah, so the dad takes him out. Things almost kind of go leery while they're out there, but there's two interesting points I will bring up in this. One is before the fire portion that you were referencing with the smoke. Um, they come across a infected rage person with he's hung upside down. He's got a bag over his head, and they have carved Jimmy in his stomach downward, right up his sternum and his belly. And that's the first time you kind of get an like, is this that kid? Is this Jimmy? Is this what's going on here? There's some other carvings I didn't have enough time to make out because I tried to really look into this, but it was only a one time watch. But it definitely resonated with you because you could tell they were having fun with this person who was infected and they were torturing this
Yeah.
infected person. So, and then from there, the fire. So essentially, the boy and father they end up camping, and it's at night, and the son sees a fire in the distance, and he tries to ask his dad about it, and his dad is very, very quiet, does not want to talk about it, changes the topic, says, "Don't worry about it," things like that. Says he doesn't know. Actually, doesn't he say he doesn't know? Um,
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, he does. He says he didn't. He doesn't really know.
yeah. So, I mean, that kind of all leads into when they get back to their little island. And there's a causeway. I don't know if we talked about the causeway. Did you talk about the causeway?
We
How
didn't,
the
and that's
tide.
actually a really really cool thing about the film. The
It is.
how you get on and off of this island back to the mainland is when low tide. There's a there's basically a bridge that links them to the mainland, but when tide's high, you can't get across it.
Megan brought up a good point. She said that she thought the mom was infected, but it was slow acting. I had some concerns initially, too.
I actually wondered that. I think it was purposely set up like that.
Yeah. Um, so they end up having to spend the night out. Like we said, they had to camp down. And when they see, like, the boy sees the fire, but then, oh, sorry, there's a third element to this outing overnight and the causeway. So the tide is only low in the mornings. At night, this causeway is covered completely by the ocean. So with that said, um, they end up knowing they're being hunted by what's called an alpha. We get an alpha in this. It's an alpha zombie. And the reason I want to talk about this alpha is numerous reasons. First of all, it's a new type of zombie. It's something new we've never seen before. We don't know how they came to be, why these things are like 7 to 8 feet tall. They're just massive. And I can't even go past it. We got to talk about the super dong. Okay, the super dong. Like, these dudes are running buck naked, infected, and they have their dong is like the size of my arm, flopping on their freaking thighs while they're running, and it's prosthetic because of child labor laws. But dear God, was it? It was rough to watch. We'll say that.
There's a lot of dongs in this, a lot of zombie dongs in this film.
Mm. but this one's done a little bit better than things like I was a teenage werebear.
And which the zombie dongs come back into play later in the film.
So when they're realizing they're being hunted by this alpha and this like pack of the other zombies, they're like, it's almost morning, we got to run, we got to do this now. So they run to the causeway, and the causeway still got enough water in it where they're like running through the water up to their knees about, and they think they're fine. They think they're in the home stretch and they're good. And all of a sudden, the alpha is charging behind them, running full at them. And the thing catches up to them pretty quick, but they're running. They're trying to make it to the gate. They make it to the gate, and they're screaming for help. And somebody finally wakes up and sees what's going on, and they manage to stop the alpha. But it was a tense moment for sure. I found myself enjoying the tense moments in this film because it was
Yeah.
so often you thought they were going to get caught or something was going to happen, and they were usually good. But I was definitely worked up, like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Well, and when they get back, they have this
Hold on,
party.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Megan just said 28
I
inches
saw it.
later.
I saw
Fuck.
that.
That one stopped me.
28 inches later.
Jesus.
Or 28 inches longer, whichever way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh boy.
So after they get back, they have this big celebration planned for this kid. So they have this celebration for him going out and making his first kill and everything. So the father leaves with another woman, and he sees his father with this other woman, and so he runs back home, and it's his grandfather he meets up with that tells him that the smoke is actually a
Is it?
doctor.
Yeah.
He says he's
Um.
crazy, but he's a doctor.
Yeah, and even the grandpa's like, I haven't even talked to him because he's so out there, but he essentially tries to talk him out of it, but then he realizes that he's been kind of cornered by the grandson, that dad didn't want him to know, and there's a reason for it, and so the grandpa kind of tries to stray him away from that, but to no avail. Now I'll rewind about mom for a minute. Like, we talked about mom's health. Mom's health was so bad, she's deteriorating to the point where she's not there mentally. There's a relationship for sure, and you can tell he loved his wife, but it seems like he's when the boy sees him with this other woman, it just seems like he's just lonely and looking for affection. But of course, a 12-year-old is not going to understand the complicity of what's going on with an adult scenario with a sick person and all these things. So the son becomes very defensive. He feels he's a man now, which is what the party was for. He feels like he can speak up, like he has a voice for his household, and he needs to protect his mom. And he does the right thing in so many ways, but at the same time, without talking to his dad, it's just a little one-sided. So he finds out this info, and he goes out of his way to try and get mom to the doctor. This becomes the new mission.
Yeah. So he takes his mother, who is out of her mind, and to go find this doctor, sneaks off. And she's actually with it. She has good moments and bad moments. And this is something I really liked about this film. I love the journey. I love the journey of the child and the mom with um, her having her mind, for a while, and then all of a sudden she's kind of losing it on what's real and what's not. And the whole scene, the dream sequence scene with once they stop, they camp for the night after they get back out onto the island, and she's asleep, and he's watching guard, and he falls asleep, and he's dreaming, and all of a sudden he wakes up. He's dreaming, and he's dreaming that there's a zombie coming at him and attacking him. And then he wakes up, and it's the next morning, and the zombie is dead next to him. That whole
Yeah, no,
sequence was great.
and those zombies too. We didn't talk about those. Those are new zombies as well. I don't know what those are referred to, but
I'll
it
call them
almost seemed like
bloaters.
bloaters. Yeah, because they're heavy. They're heavy set, bald. Almost the one slithers, and there are always packs of three, is what I gathered, and the other two are kind of the hunters on the outer edge. Uh, and the one is slithering towards him while he's dozed off, falls asleep, tells his mom he's going to take watch, he's going to take point, and she can sleep. And he dozes, and this thing's like about to get him, and it's right as he's about to get him, you just see someone come out of nowhere and just beat the crap out of this thing. And then you start understanding it was the mom having that moment of clarity or moment of not herself. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, yeah. And it goes and flashes back and shows the mom actually fucking this zombie up. To be blunt, like, and it's fantastic. It's great.
Yeah, because you see a woman that you think is crippled and unable, and this 12-year-old boy is going to have to protect her, and you're like, how are they going to possibly survive? How are they going to make it? And then she like flips a switch and becomes a Billy Badass, and I was okay with it because it was done well, and it was Mama Bear protecting little cub.
What's up, Misty? And I was laughing a minute ago. Brandy said, "Whatever you do, don't Google
Don't
that."
Google. Yeah, I saw that too.
So
Have you
once the
have you guys Googled Two Girls One Cup yet?
year, like 20 years ago, however long ago it was. Um, so let's get back to those zombie dongs and
Oh, not. I'm not ready for all that. Come on, Jake. No. Uh, well, but the adventure though of them getting to like after that zombie portion, they eventually get to the doctor, and
well, before we get there, and that's what I'm talking about, more zombie dong because we find the pregnant zombie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
That's
that
where I was
was
talking about more zombie
okay.
dong
This is
because
this is
you
kind of huge too.
this zombie is a female zombie. She is pregnant and she goes into labor and delivers a baby, and they keep the baby. The mom delivers the baby and takes the baby
Well,
before
they
they
keep the
go before they go to the doctor
but why did they keep the baby?
because it wasn't a zombie.
Well, that too, but also because the she went crazy after she delivered. It was a weird moment because I don't know hormones. I don't know how the rage virus works in this situation because the woman is clearly pregnant. She's giving birth, but she's standing and then squatting like a woman would to kind of bear down. And she has a moment almost of humanity where she locks hands with the mom and are holding hands to help her give birth. And that was a really crazy moment for me. So these are the parts I really, really, really appreciated because there's so many more questions that come out of this for me. The big one being, okay, so is that baby just like the mom was, and 28 weeks later now, could her saliva infect and hurt people? Like I don't know what to expect out of this now. So it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little confusing because after that, an alpha shows up, and the alpha actually acts like he wants the baby because it's his, is the vibe that I got.
Samson. The doctor called him Samson.
Yeah.
And then Samson has a fondness, not a fondness, but a weakness for morphine because the doctor, played by Ralph Fiennes, which is awesome. He
And I did not even know Ralph Fiennes was in this movie.
I did, and I just and when I saw the there's moments where they showed in the trailer little flashes of light by his face, and I was like, "Hey, I know him. I know who that is." I loved what was the New Year's Eve movie that he did back in the day?
Oh,
Was this
I want to say the Doom generation, but it's not Strange
no,
Days.
no, Strange Days, correct. And I don't know what it was about that movie, but I loved that movie with him. And so as soon as I saw his face light up, and obviously there's other roles he's done it with.
Well, I mean, obviously, I mean he was in Red Dragon, and he was also Voldemort.
Yep. No, he's just yeah, but you wouldn't recognize him from Voldemort to this. But yeah, no, it's he was awesome. But he has essentially a blow dart gun, and he has needles with morphine, and Samson was heavily impacted by this to the point where he couldn't move and he's just standing there like a zombie. And with his 28-inch dong. Um, but it was an interesting moment because it seems like however the doctor had been living out there on his own, he had managed a way to live among them, around them, control them, and let it work to his benefit. And he had built a literal bone temple, which I'm
Hmm.
guessing is relevant to our next chapter. but that bone temple was so impressive, and but the way that he connects the boy over this bone temple is a whole nother part that is very, very dark and interesting.
Yeah, yeah. This Bone Temple, he is basically taking the bodies of the dead, and it's his way to make a memorial for everybody who's lost their lives. And he burns the flesh down, and I guess boils the flesh, whatever, however he's doing. But he gets it down to just the bones, and then he's stacking the bones, and in a fashion that is very tribal.
When the to go back a moment, when the grandfather and the grandson are having the conversation, he was talking about a story when he saw the doctor the one time they saw him, and they looked down and saw him, and there was just hundreds of bodies around him, and he's waving up like, "Hey, come down!" He almost like give you that Pennywise crazy hand vibe.
Yeah,
And so they, of course, took off and didn't come down because they thought the guy was crazy. But he was beginning that process all those years ago of that bone temple being
yeah.
built, and it plays a factor into the to the mom.
hmm So the doctor actually checks the mom out, and he tells her exactly what she already knew, and that she has brain cancer, and they break the news to the kid. You know, that it's not treatable. You know, especially in the post-apocalyptic zombie world. You know, there's nothing that he could do. Um, and it was a very it was a strong scene. It was for me, that was one of the better scenes in the movie as well, with basically her telling her kid goodbye, you know, and then her getting up and walking off, and Ralph Fiennes, the doctor's character, shoots her with morphine, you know, with the dart as she's walking off.
Well, he shoots the kid first to make him fall
Yeah,
asleep, so it's more peaceful for him to
yeah,
process, and she wants it on her terms, and it happened, and it went. I think it was also a very amazing scene of the movie for sure.
yeah. And then, you know, he comes back and he's boiled the flesh off of her and gives the skull to the
He's
boy to.
He said, "Put it in the most important place you feel," basically, and the boy climbed to the very top of this temple, this tower of skulls, and he puts it right at the top center. So
Mhm.
it's pretty amazing. While he's up there, he has a good view of the sunrise too, and he just takes it in for a minute to
Yeah, it's a
be
beautiful
with the
shot.
top. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
well
one thing.
done cinematography.
One thing you can never take away from Danny Boyle. He does some great cinematography.
Completely agree. Um, yeah, and from there, it kind of goes weird.
Yeah, this is where the movie takes a shift.
So, like, to me, like, they could have ended it there, and I would have been like, "Sweet, okay, that's a great movie. That wasn't too bad." Not a lot of zombies at that point, just the alphas and the dongs.
Yeah,
But he takes the baby to the causeway in the community, but he leaves the baby hung up essentially on the fence so that she's safe from the tide, but she'll get taken in.
and leaves his father a letter.
Yeah, that's right. And says, "I'm not ready to come back yet. I'm gonna wander around essentially." But the crazy thing is that there's no info about this baby, and he's just left that baby. So if the baby is a hybrid and is like the woman from 28 weeks, that
He
whole
just
community,
killed his entire
yeah,
community.
everyone. Because there's it takes. I mean, when a kid's teething, you put your pinky in their mouth and let them. I mean, just a little, and that's it. That could be it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you know from here, you know the kid goes back out into the wilderness of what used to be England, and he starts getting swarmed by zombies, and you have a bunch of parkour kids that look like they play golf, and that
no, they all look like Joe Dirt.
yeah, they look like Joe
They're
Dirt went golfing and doing
Joe
parkour.
Joe Joe Dirt in Adidas windbreaker suits with gold chains. That's that's where the guy Ritchie comes in. And we find out the leader of this group is Jimmy, who is the little boy from the beginning and who was responsible for that body.
And
But
he's
like,
wearing the cross, but it's upside down.
yeah, there is that. But they're seriously, you weren't. I think parkour is the best way to sum it up. They came out of nowhere like they were goddamn ninjas.
Yeah,
And Jimmy starts off by just doing this because the boy, the 12-year-old, he just bullseyes one right in the head, and he's like, "All right, that's not too bad. Do you mind if we got it from here?" And they just sweep out the zombies, and that's kind of where you're at.
yeah. It's a very odd way to end this film. It's a very odd way to end this film, and I don't dislike it. I don't hate it. It's just a very Guy Ritchie. You know, like I think you nailed it with that. I mean, it's very Guy Ritchie, and I do love Guy Ritchie films. You know,
Me as well. But
but
like
for a Danny Boyle film doing Guy Ritchie, it's a little off. It's all off-putting.
I was waiting for Colin Farrell to come out and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" You know, like The Gentleman
It
or
could
some
have been.
shit.
It could. Yeah, as I say, it could have been the group of kids from The Gentleman for sure.
No, but all right. So I mean, we've pretty much covered the entirety of the film. But so I guess before we get into rankings, where would you place it for yourself amongst the three films?
Oh, it's definitely way better than uh, 28 weeks later.
I disagree.
See, I'm not a big fan of 28 weeks later.
Why?
Danny Boyle didn't do it.
Yeah, but it still was. I think it was held very well. I think I don't know what it was to me, but the hybrid aspect that came into play, the way that it built around a family, and you saw this family's turmoil, and you saw the society trying to build back up. The opening sequence of that film was spectacular as well. And I don't know. I just
It,
every
it 28 weeks later has a great idea. I just think it's not executed well.
the only weak part for me in 28 weeks later was Mercutio. I don't know the actor's name, but he played Mercutio in the rock and roll Romeo and Juliet we got in the 90s.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. So he was a hard watch for the helicopter thing, but I did like Hawkeye. Hawkeye was in it, and
Yeah,
I
as I
feel like I
say,
liked his
Jeremy
character.
Renner. Jeremy Renner
Right.
was like the
Yeah.
main military guy in in the film.
So for me, after you said what you said, I'm straight in order right now. But all good movies, just one, two, and three are one, two, and three for me.
Yeah, mine would be 132. And 28 years later, as doing very well. As what I was doing, I was looking at the box office. It's crossed 100 million.
Yeah, that was the article I tried to share. I just didn't see it on our page for some reason, so I don't know
Yeah,
if it didn't work or
yeah.
what.
It's crossed 100 million on a $60 million budget. Which 60 million for this movie, I don't know. There's a lot of this that seems like a lot for some of this movie. But then again, this movie does look great.
I think it's more the permitting, the actors' payroll. I don't think because the cinematography was just simple. Now, the set design for the Bone Temple and some of those things, I could see those being a lot. But yeah, that's 60 mil seems reasonable for that. But I'm happy to hear it crossing 100 mil and it's still young. For being honest, that movie's still got time to grow and it's gonna get to a good number. And hopefully, the second one does great too.
So Megan agrees with you. She's commenting saying that 28 weeks later is better than this one. So there's one agreement. So
She
we'll
agrees
see
with
what.
you. She said she disagrees that 28 weeks later is better than
Oh
this.
wait, yeah, she does. What she
Yeah.
says, I'm with Ryan on this one. So maybe I misread that. So
Oh, yeah, maybe I did too. No, but I mean, they're all great films, so, this is one of those things I don't feel you can lose with. I just like, that 28-year jump is definitely there's a lot to understand what happened there. There's a lot to Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? That freaking blonde-haired soldier kid. So there's a blonde-haired soldier kid that's in this movie that this is like one of my bigger complaints about the movie. Not in a bad way. I kind of liked it, but at the same time, he was annoying. So he's my complaint in the sense his character is annoying. But he had a goddamn cell phone, a modern ass cell phone, because he's from the United States. It seemed, I just knew he wasn't from that country. He's a soldier, and he could look at his phone and do check-ins and look at the not. He couldn't use it when he was in the quarantine zone, but he had a normal phone, essentially, like we all do now. And to me, that was like, okay, so is this just Britain? Is this how the world's
It
moved
is.
on?
They
Is it
they 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 said at the beginning. It said at the beginning that it was isolated to only Britain.
so that leaves me more questions about the end of 28 weeks later then, because the end of 28 weeks later would suggest otherwise. So I'm just
Yeah,
curious, like what all happened there. Like that's I want to know more about that.
yeah. I remember at the beginning of this film. I don't remember if it was something that was said or if it was something like in a text, but it said something that it had ended up they had gotten it isolated to just England. So, but yeah, I agree. I
Cool.
mean, the 28 weeks later left you wondering what was going to happen because yeah,
Yeah, no, but all in all, very happy with the movie. I've got a few that I'm excited that are coming up that I'm waiting to see in the next few weeks, but I'm more thinking towards
Superman,
January.
Superman.
Well, I'm behind now. I've got a built up list here. I not as much as Superman, but I want to see Megan 2.0. I
Hey,
want to see F1, which I had no interest in seeing F1 at all until I saw the trailer, and now I can't stop thinking
F1
about the
looks
damn thing.
yeah, it looks pretty good.
Which, by the way, trailers don't sway me usually to like a movie if I'm just not interested. That was the first trailer that literally swayed me because it was so well. And I guess they invented specific cameras for that movie. Um, but that said, though, I love the idea of that one. What else just came out? Something else just dropped. The new Jurassic Park, and then we've got Fantastic Four and Superman coming. So we've got
Yeah.
quite the stretch coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out, and Superman's at the top of the list. Fantastic Four, I'm pretty psyched about, and so, but it's we'll see, but definitely Superman. I mean, that comes out what next week,
Yep,
so yeah, I'll
yep.
definitely be at the
I'm
movie theater watching that. So, oh yeah, well, Megan's talking about Spaceballs in 2 years, so but that was 2 years away, so we got a while for that one.
I think we should do squares. We should do squares for if Mel Brooks makes it to the premiere of Spaceballs too.
Uh, we'll do ratings.
Sure. I guess we both picked this. So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. This is a work like this when we're live. I can it's off and you can see what I'm picking before I pick for yeah. I'll just go. So for me, same feelings as JP here with the unsure. There are a lot of awesome redeeming qualities with this movie. There are a lot of great points, a lot of amazing character development. Um, I really would have liked to see a lot more zombies, if I'm being honest. I know we understand there's already a zombie outbreak, and I understand we've gotten so far along, but I would have liked to see some more. And not the alpha dong zombies, just regular old zombies. Um, but again, I'm not gonna review bomb as I keep hearing lately the phrase this because I don't know what number two has in mind. The Bone Temple should bring something more magical. So I'm gonna go with a 3-5 here. 3-5 nerds from Ryan.
Okay, so we're pretty close on this because I think that this movie is beautiful. I think it's great, but again, like I said, it's one of the Danny Boyle's weaker films. Doesn't mean it's not good. Love Danny Boyle films. It is a good movie. It's worth seeing. I think it's worth seeing in the theater. But it does it bogs down a lot, and we didn't talk about that a lot. But this movie it bogs down a lot. But and like you said, one thing it could have fixed that would have been more zombie attacks, more zombies, um, or just more of something because it gets bogged down. The alpha zombies, I thought were okay. It just kind of reminded me of like a alpha werewolf. Kind of they were going with that kind of feel, but with a zombie. Um, the uh, the surprise for Ralph Fiennes being in the film was I love because like I know you said you knew it was in it, and I didn't read a lot or watch a lot for this film because I didn't want to spoil too much, and so seeing Ralph Fiennes on the screen, it was a surprise for me. So I really loved seeing Ralph Fiennes in this. I loved his character. Um, I'm gonna go a 3.6. nerds.
Yeah,
So
that's just a fuck you, Ryan. I'm going point one more than you.
no, I really actually had already decided on 3.6, so it was funny that you did
Okay, that's
3.5.
funny. Megan in the comments, she just told us she'd give it a 4. She said so. She said the first half was really good. The ending, she was expecting more. Um, and Brandy, just to comment on yours, I also am going to be checking out the next season of Sandman. I'm excited to see it, so hopefully it's good.
I'm excited for Sandman. The thing with Sandman for me though, if anybody knows me, that Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors. But with everything that's happening with him now, like I'm having a hard time accepting, like even admitting that he's one of my favorite authors. And I love his movies. Obviously, you got Coraline, you got Sandman, you've got Good Omens, you've got American Gods, you got all the, and even Doctor Who episodes. You've got so much of this cool shit that he's done, and um, I'm not going to dive in if you don't know what was going on with Neil Gaiman, but there's some sex trafficking things and stuff of that nature that has went on with him and his wife, and it's become a hard thing for me to. I don't know. I want to watch Sandman, but I'm so torn because of what's going on with him.
So I have a weird take on that, and my take is kind of I should just call it the Spacey take. So Kevin Spacey, we all know what all happened with him, and he was in an excellent show at the time called House of Cards. When House of Cards hit Netflix, I was watching this thing and I thought it was genius, and it was a great mirrored reflection to actual politics because of how cutthroat things get, the things we don't know about behind the scenes, the level of horrible things that happens in the political world. And I was actually really into it. And when everything came forward, I think it was the end of season 3. I don't remember the season, but they ended up killing him off on the show and found a way to continue the show. And the reason I'm a fan of that concept, which I know they couldn't do necessarily with Sandman because of copyrights, but you got to think like it's not just one person might have the issue, but we're talking about like depending on the cast, the production, we're talking like anywhere from a couple hundred to a couple thousand people that could be let go or lose their jobs
Yeah,
because of something like this. So it's so much bigger than just saying I don't want to watch because of this person when I know it's impacting others and I feel like there still might be a quality product here. Now, had Kevin Spacey stayed in the show, I would have had a problem with that. I wouldn't have been able to watch the show in that regard. That would have been a little rough. But the way they went about it moving forward, all day.
yeah, yeah. I agree, and I'll probably watch it, but I'm struggling with that, you know, and
Yeah,
it
I hear you.
hurts me because he's one of my favorite authors, you know. So,
Yeah.
all right, you got any recommendations?
Why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'll just say because I've not watched a lot. I've had so much going on, and I've been so busy that I've not really watched a lot other than some MacGyver episodes, and I've put on a few things just to have on in the background the past couple days, and not really watched anything. But the one thing I did watch, and we already talked about, so I'm gonna recommend it. Craven. Like I was blindsided that I actually enjoyed this film, because I thought it would hate it. I went in with low expectations. It's probably not as good as I thought it was, but with such low expectations that I had, I actually had fun watching Craven, and I liked the Aaron Taylor Joy Johnson or whatever his name is. In Craven a lot. I liked him in Craven a lot more than I liked him in 28 Years Later.
All right. I'm gonna recommend a series. I'm gonna go with Mr. Robot because I just got into the series, and I'm finishing the second season right now. And holy shit! Like I absolutely love it. I love Remy Malek's narrator voice. That's very Fight Club esque. I feel like if Fight Club and I forgot the other movie I had. There's another movie, but essentially it was like if Fight Club and like V for Vendetta had a baby was essentially the vibe I got. And I'm still getting it. I love it. So I highly recommend if you haven't checked it out, to check it out because even the topics that I'm watching now and it was made so many years ago are super relevant still. So it's great.
All right. Yeah,
Trying to force that Curse of the
Curse of the
Queer
Queer
Wolf
Whip is
stuff on
great,
me.
and so is La Avalanche. We're going to do those
Oh,
eventually.
yes. No, we're not.
Um,
Ooh, but you know what? That does bring a good idea I had the other day. I feel. Have you seen that new series from Eli Roth about the cursed movies?
Yeah,
My wife
I
and
have.
my son were watching the cursed movies based on what they saw, and I was like, "That's a great cursed movies could be an episode."
Yeah. Hang on. I'm
All
gonna
right,
have to uh, talk for me. my earbuds are doing something weird.
talk, talk, talk.
Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna have to take my earbuds out. Unfortunately, another thing that was missing out of my studio was my two pairs of $200 studio headphones. So I was trying to use my earbuds, and like for the past 10 minutes, you have been cutting in and out in my ears, and so I'm
Battery's dying.
yeah. So I'm going to take them out so we can kind of finish up this episode, and I can actually hear you. So I'm just using my speakers on my laptop now, and hopefully it don't echo back through too bad.
Megan, that's a great idea. Pump up the volume would be a good one.
And she actually messaged me the other day and told me that Pump Up the Volume finally hit digital, and I did buy that on Vudu. So, because I love Pump Up the Volume.
Uh, it's not Slater, but there's one that always reminded me of Pump Up the Volume. It was SFW. Remember that movie? It was
Uh,
Steven Dorff.
I'm not sure if I remember that one. I'm gonna have to go back and look it up. I've probably seen
So
it though.
so so fucking what? I think was the movie. I haven't seen it in some time, but always gave me the same vibe as Pump Up the Volume. All right, well, guys, you know the routine. We usually finish this up, so it's just easy to say it. So, like, share. When you're done watching this, go down and give a little thumbs up to us. But sharing is the best thing that you can do to help us keep moving and growing. And we do have some really. I'm not going to talk details until things are cemented in stone, but we do have some really good things in the pipeline that we're working on and towards. So. Keep your ears open and your eyes open too.
Yeah, and like I said, all the donations I've got a lot more stuff coming in from the donations and from the money donated that I have ordered. So when that stuff comes in, it should be next week. I'm gonna start getting our studio reset up so we can do this stuff in person, recorded and edited. And this lives thing. I want to do some more of these when we have time. Going, continually going forward. Just because it is easier, with when we can't get together to film a bunch of episodes and him sit at home and me sit at home and we just do this and we can talk to you guys live and you know answer some questions. But I still prefer the actually editing episodes and the in-person interactions. It's just easier to feed off of. It's easier for me to feed off Ryan. I know it's easier for Ryan to feed off of me when we do this stuff in person. But I'm gonna keep you guys updated and posted on all that. And outside of that, you can go to CineNerdsPodcast.com. There it is. Our website where all of our episodes, there's links to most of our episodes, but you can go to our YouTube channel, our Spotify, our Apple Podcast, Amazon, whatever, whatever it's on there between our link tree and all the links that I have posted on the website. So go there, check it out, share it with your friends, share it on your page, click like on this video, and please go back from the live chat. You can come back in and leave a regular comment once we stop, and any little bit helps. And just share this and share things off of our Facebook page, invite your friends, all that.
Coolio.
All right.
All right.
I don't know if we're going to take a week off. I don't know. We're hoping not, but
We'll try not to.
we're going to try not to. So I don't know what we're going to do next. Me and Ryan's got a lot to discuss, but we'll keep you posted on the Facebook page. And for you audio listeners, I know you're not going to hear this until it's already out, but I'll have this episode. I should have this episode downloaded and re-uploaded by sometime in the morning or tomorrow for you audio listeners. So you'll be able to come back and listen to um, this live stream.
Cool.
All right.
Well, we are your CineNerds, and we'll
Till
catch up with you hopefully next week.
next time. Later, guys.
Later.